Welcome to Your Healing Era, a podcast for artists, creatives, healers, anyone living outside the traditional mold who's searching beyond the conventional forms of healing. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and rate the podcast. Thanks for being here, and let's dive into today's episode. I recently heard someone say on Instagram, this woman was saying how she went through years of, deep inner work and healing just to be a normal person that does normal things.
So I don't even know if I've gotten that far.
I don't know. I feel like getting married and having a baby is like
That's true.
in that category
Right.
for me personally too, because I resonated with that because I was like, yeah, you go through all these things, and a lot of people on that path might also relate with the being the black sheep or being the different person who's like paving their own path, and in terms of like your career choices and your lifestyle choices and your partner choices, maybe like all of those different things, and then kind of arriving to a place where like, oh, now I just want the normal things.
Yeah, right. And then it feels so radical when you choose the normal things, when you
Yeah.
are actually, right? I'm like, I'm a mother, but I'm doing it different. I'm like very Enneagram 4, I have to make it really special.
You Enneagram 4?
Yeah.
What
Do
is
you know that?
four?
4 is the individualist. It's kind of the drama queen. I'm kind of like this. I hope to think I'm a secret drama queen, but anyone who knows me well, like, I just have really big emotions, and that's the 4. Like, huge emotions, and we have a hard time finding our identity because we are so, like, in that flow of emotion. And an emotion, can, like, trickle down and, like, color everything in our experience. And it can be hard to find, like, that center, not being reactive, right? And like, okay, I can have big emotions and maybe have them in a container has been big work for me. And then maybe step out of that and go, okay, and I'm still gonna exercise today, even though I had a big emotion. For
Oh
me,
my God,
that's
I kind of
real.
relate to that, but I'm an 8, so maybe there's something there because the 4 plus 4. Um,
Yeah.
Elena, I want to introduce you to our listeners before we continue talking, so that people just have a little bit of context. I don't know. I want to tell the listeners welcome, and that today I'm joined by Elena Lynn Wolf-Brandit. Am I saying it correct?
You are, yeah, all of it.
Cool. She's a spiritual, somatic, and energetic coach who supports women in stepping into self love, sovereignty, and what she calls the main character energy. Her work blends nervous system based somatics, energy work, intuitive guidance, and emotional processing to help people move out of people pleasing patterns and into more empowered, soul led life. She's also the host of Earth Body Oracle podcast that brings really unique mix of depth and play into her work, supporting people to move through old patterns while reconnecting with pleasure, truth, and their own inner wisdom, and also through astrology. Elena, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that still sounds like me to some degree.
I remember we talked a long time ago, it was probably over a year ago, and I was checking out your old website and I was telling you, oh, those courses look so cool because you had a lot of educational stuff about sexuality and the somatics of that. And I was mentioning something to you, and you were like, oh, yeah, back when I was like really into that stuff.
I know, right? It's so cliche for motherhood, and yet it's so natural, I think, like all of your creative energy. I have a 3.5-year-old, and like it's still, like a lot of that eros and creativity is still funneled towards like making his childhood the best it can be and still screwing it up, but doing the best I can.
Yeah, we're all doing the best we can. So you turned and pivot and explored a lot of different healing modalities, and we met through our training in alchemical alignment, which is training for a somatic embodiment of spirit and trauma resolution. I'm curious, like, what got you initially on a path where you're seeking for those type of things?
Oh gosh. Well, originally my healing path began through healing sexuality. I have a long history of sexual trauma, and I'm still uncovering sexual trauma from developmental years. But at the time, I didn't really know about the developmental stuff, about the stuff of age 3 and under. I knew about an assault that had happened when I was 30. Sorry to just like bring it right in, but this is how I got here, right? Like sexuality has always been huge for me. Like my teen years, I was really hypersexualized. And I thought it was liberated, right? Because you have to like, to be with it, I don't know, to be okay, you have to like make something, or at least for me, like make something beautiful out of something that otherwise might be crunchy. And sexuality is such an interesting energy when it gets distorted, right? It can be hyposexual. I'm not sexual at all anymore. I have major boundaries, or it can be like I'm super sexual, which is how mine manifested itself. And that got me into a lot of scary situations, and a lot of situations where I blamed myself, because I was engaging in dangerous behavior, and just didn't really wake up to it until I got married. The first time I got married, I'm second married. So I got married to a guy that I met in yoga teacher training, and he was so safe and so wonderful and so sweet. And we got married within like 6 months. We were just like clinging to each other. I'm like, and I was just like, oh, you're so stable. And I'd never really like found that energy even sexy before. So I was just like, okay, finally. And within that, then all of like the trauma like started to bubble up to the surface. And that was the point when I just, I went ham. Like I'm a Gemini moon, so I really just picked up everything that I could. Enneagram, astrology, tarot, oracle, Reiki, chakras, energy healing, and doing EMDR through therapy, going to therapy and having so many openings and loving it and just becoming like, I think there's something good, like there's something beautiful about it. Like, how can I heal? How can I heal? And then we also, if we have a schema that's like, how can I fix myself? Even if it's quiet, just like, how can I finally heal so I can be okay? Or so I can be like a regular person who has a regular job or fit into society better or whatever it is. I feel like that part of me has calmed down, the misfix it, which is wonderful. It's one of the gifts of I'll be 45 this summer. So I feel like it's a perimenopausal gift and just been around the block gift. But yeah, that's how I got started.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing those vulnerable parts. I asked that because we all have like a thing, like a big thing that kind of puts us on the path, and then the path starts to unravel, and then, it evolves and it stops being maybe the main thing. I mean, not that you totally healed your sexuality period and there's no more work to do, but for me, it was like a diagnosis of like a medical situation, but that just is what put me on the path. And from there, we evolve and we enter the inner world and endless ocean, right? And then there's the tendency to really fixate on our own healing. And it's funny because I hear a lot of people say these days, like, oh, it's the end of your healing era. And I was like, fuck, I named my podcast Your Healing Era. But the intention with it is not really to obsess about my healing or other people's healing. It's just to share our insights from our healing era.
Totally.
With the folks that, maybe are on a similar path or a parallel path or a few steps behind us or ahead of us or whatever. And
Well, we hear a couple people talk, it's just, you like go, oh, I identify with that. And maybe someone says it in a different way, and then it like pings something off for you, and then you're off on like some other part of your journey.
Yeah, totally. So can we get into it a little deeper? Because you've already shared kind of your entry point. Was there a specific moment or like breaking point where you realized that like something needs to change and you started searching?
Yeah, I've always been a person who has suicidal ideations. I don't know that that will ever change for me. I'm still here, I'm still alive, but I had my childhood affected me in such a strong way that it just, that's kind of where I go if I get super triggered. I'm just like, this is too much. I had a bad breakup, a really bad breakup with all my 20s I spent like chasing narcissists and being the empath, chasing the narcissist, having that fun spiritual journey.
So
And-
fun.
yeah, totally. And I was dating this guy for a while.
Hey, I'm gonna pause for just a minute because I really gotta tell you about this. If you're feeling called to go deeper on this work, and if you're a woman who loves making music or exploring sound, writing songs, and expressing yourself creatively, I'm leading a retreat in Mexico this summer. It's an intimate, immersive week of embodied healing and creative expansion. We'll have a professional recording studio on site. We'll be writing, producing, dancing, practicing yoga, meditating, swimming in the ocean, all the things. So really living inside our bodies and inside our art. If this is calling you, all the details are below. We have limited spots and we have early bird pricing, so go check it out. And if Mexico isn't happening for you right now, I also have a free nervous system regulation tool that you can explore at home in your own time. And if you're ready for something more structured, my full nervous system sorcery course is also available. Everything is linked below. All right, let's get back to the episode.
And he was so explicit that he didn't want anything serious, but I was just like, oh yes, you do. Yes.
He will
like,
change his mind
yeah.
once he realizes, like,
Come on, who wouldn't? Come on, let's do this.
yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't go well. He cared for me, but he didn't want to do what I wanted to do. And my whole identity was so wrapped around the boys that I was following around. And I was really stuck at work. I was actually working as a writer at a sex toy company. And I'd been there for maybe 5-6 years, and it was just like so rote at that point. And even though it was like a fun job that everyone envied, but I just felt like, oh, like I have so much creativity and I'm a writer, but I'm not really writing what I want to write, just being very, just stuck, just so stuck. And I had that intense sexual trauma that I mentioned earlier. Like I had a sexual assault that was violent, like really intense. And from there, I just was kind of like a shell. But all that time, I was still going to yoga. And I would go to yoga and I would get these downloads that were just like, leave this dude, he's terrible. And I'd be like, oh, I hate yoga. Like I would stop going to yoga for a minute and then I would go back. So I was really getting like these clear moments, like just kind of like breadcrumbs. And then I decided to do yoga teacher training. And even that was like really dramatic. Like I wanted the guy back that didn't want to be with me. I was like, I'm going to get a boob job. That'll get him back. Like that's where I was. I had the money. I had the appointment. Like I took out a loan. I had an appointment. I had like the whole thing. And it was literally like yoga teacher training or boob job. Like that's what I can afford right now. What do I do? What do I do? It's just like so literal, like so, And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this yoga teacher training. And that's when my life began. And it also, I had like a really spiritual experience in one yoga class right before, like that pushed me over, like really intense yoga class, really cathartic, kind of a healing thing. Laying there just like drenched. And suddenly I saw this, green light just emanating out of my chest. And I was like, I didn't know about chakras yet. And I was like, what is this? So I got home and I'm Googling and it was like, oh, that's the Anahata. That's the heart chakra. And I was like, whoa, like something is calling me, like that I cannot deny. So that was the impetus. That was the path. That was the moment. And it took a while,
Wow.
Yeah.
This
It took a
story
while.
is giving me shivers.
Oh, yeah. Like it really, I feel like spirit was just like gunning for me. You know what I mean? Like it just wouldn't let me go. And I'm so grateful for that. Like just that I made that choice and, that I followed that breadcrumb because the other breadcrumbs were going like, I have so many autoimmune things. Like if I had a boob job, I'd be so effed. I'd be so effed.
That's wild. There's so much there, but one thing that I heard you say that reminded me, we have those moments where we hear those deep whisperings of like a very clear, like what needs to be done or what you need or what is right, and we're just not ready to hear it, or it's just so terrifying to hear it because what that would mean about your life or the change or the transformation or the something that needs to happen, that we hear it but we push it away, and you're like, I hate yoga, I can't go, right? And how to know when those voices are true, and how, when to know it is time. And yeah, sometimes I feel like our biggest hindrances to transformation and growth are just our ability to actually be with the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard,
Yeah.
it's painful.
Painful, scary, really like turns you upside down. And like, what is even the first step? Or how will I fill my life if my life isn't filled with these things that are actually not healthy for me? Then like, it's that fool's leap, right? In the tarot, it's like I know something and now I have to like let go of the trapeze, and like I'm in free fall, and like, will the other thing over here hold me? I don't necessarily have experience of it yet, so I don't know if it truly will.
Yeah, so cool. So I asked you about specific moment, you were talking about being stuck and the breakup and the having to choose what your next steps are, and what are you going to do with your money, and what's the best next step. And then let me ask you, like, what were some of the hardest patterns to unwind?
For me, my addiction to narcissists felt karmic. Like, it was a shadow of myself that I didn't want to acknowledge. It was kind of like, you're dark and I'm light, like very, like not wanting to acknowledge my own shadow in any way. Um, and I did so many like ceremonial rituals. That's when I was really into the jade egg. And I remember that was such I don't use the jade egg anymore. I just really haven't come back to it since motherhood. But that part of my journey to really feel like I was draining energy from people out of my body, like all the energy that I'd sort of accumulated. I remember doing a really powerful Akashic Records coaching call with someone who was like, okay, you have this soul contract, and are you really ready to break it? Like, are you really ready to do this? Because what's on the other side of that? And that's a whole exploration that you're going to have. So I really felt like that one was the hardest to unwind, because after I got divorced from the man I met in yoga teacher training, I just went back to the same habits, right? I was like out late. I could like barely, I remember like trying to go out when people go out, and I was like 35 years old and my body was just so over it. I'd have to like nap for part of the day to try to go out at 11 o'clock, and I just remember like it was so difficult. My body was such a huge no. But this was like the only way I knew how to like fill this connection void. It was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bar and see if I can meet someone or whatever. Um, and I really felt like I met like the king narcissist of all of them at that point. But I was very aware. I'm like doing the jade egg, and I've got all this background behind me of like self-awareness. And I'm like, this guy is a narcissist. I can't stop calling him. There's still a part of me that's like, I want to be chosen by you, whether that's because I wanted my dad to really choose me or whatever it was. I wanted to heal it. So I kept getting myself in that situation. Like, if I actually get the love from a person who's like this, somehow things will get better. But that was really, I think, the most, like, it was the most intense. I was the most aware. And I was doing this jade egg course that had like all this Kali energy. And when I did the Kali jade egg practice, I just realized how terrible he was. And so I fired off this missive, this text that was like, a scroll of like, how terrible, like, don't treat me like this, fuck off. Sent it to him. And that like somehow was like, it wasn't the complete last gasp of me and him, because I still had moments where I was like, why are you still so attractive? But I was just done with him. And he was like so put off that I would, dare see him clearly in certain ways. Yeah, and that just felt like the ceremonial end somehow. And now I feel like I can smell, a narcissist from like across a room at this point, which is really nice. And I have no interest, which is really beautiful. But it took like a lot. It took a lot to get out of that one.
It's funny how life keeps hitting us with the same lessons until we learn. Because you're saying like that last guy was just like the most narcissist of them all.
Right.
Like as
Yeah,
if it wasn't clear. Let me make it clear now.
totally. Like some people tried to hide it from me or lied to me a lot or whatever. But with him, he'd be like, hey, I had sex with a 17-year-old girl last night. What do you think? You know? Like it
He
was
would
like
say
to
that
that
to you?
degree. Oh yeah.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
he was something special. He actually died a couple years ago. And then this past Halloween,
Wow.
he visited me and we spent an entire day together. This is like my only experience with being with someone on the other side. And we had the most healing, like forgiving each other. Like we orchestrated this on the other side for our soul lessons like day. It was very present and then he just dissipated again. So really crazy.
Wow. That
Yeah.
sounds like some kind of a closure.
Yeah, it really felt that way. It really felt um, big. And yeah, because it was something that was so out of my realm of experience. I mean, that was, you mentioned alchemical alignment. When I first went into alchemical alignment, my goal, and I don't even remember why exactly it was my goal, but it's like, I want to be more psychic. I want to be more in touch with the other side. And I really feel like alchemical alignment really helped me with that. But then sometimes I'm still surprised by, like, oh, hey, you're here. Okay, this is cool.
Yeah. These things you're sharing, like, they're a part of a lot of women's path. Maybe men too, but I totally relate to so many things, like just learning through relationships, through being attracted to a certain type, through the relationships bringing up all of these different things that needs healing until we learn what it is that we are and what kind of person might be right for us. And then we can know when we meet them. Did you feel that way with your husband?
With my husband, it's really funny because he is a very confident Aries man.
Ooh,
And so when we were lovers at first, like we weren't together, like, and I really wanted him to be like my man. So it was sort of in one of my old patterns with him. But it was right after I'd broken up with someone else. It was just like really bad timing but I did keep stating my boundaries to him of like, hey, I want to be the only one, like I want to, and then we would talk about it and it did extend it, like maybe a little longer than I should have stayed because he was like, he's like, I'm really looking for my partner, but I don't think you're her, but I really like what we're doing. Will you keep doing this with me? And because of his confidence, I was like confused, of like, am I like drawing in the same kind of guy? But he was really open. He was really honest, like about everything the whole time. And we, we actually, so I had a hard boundary with him finally. I'm not even finally, this was maybe like a 2-month period. And it was just like, I can't do this with you, which I think for me was a change in pattern, right? Like it was a change of like, okay, I'm not just gonna like stick around and just be someone that you have sex with while you figure out who your partner is.
right.
This isn't, So I actually ended up moving states for a job. And so I didn't talk to him for maybe 9 months. And while I was gone, it was during COVID, and I was really working on like, just still really working on myself and really working on boundaries. And then when he reappeared in my life, I had like a pretty hard boundary with him. And then he was really attracted to it, right? It was like finally like the right moment for us. And so my husband is a great, I mean, we found each other for reasons. I'm super yin, I'm super slow, he's super fast, he's super young. We've got great polarity, and we're also like very great teachers for each other. It's that whole thing of like, he's not a narcissist, he's not these things, but I think someone, like me in a different frame of mind could be confused by just like someone who is so confident and like just does what he wants, like we had this one of a great example is after my son was born, and he would just go take a shower. He wouldn't ask me, and I was just like, "How are you not asking me? Like, I'm trying to take care of this baby." And like, it's so intense. Like every time I went on a shower, I'd be like, I'd have like a book of like, so I haven't had a shower in 3 days, and I'm one, and he was just like, "What is up with you?" Like we were just like with each other. And that's, I mean, it was literally like a couples therapy thing, like simply we had to bring the couples therapy. And yeah, so my husband is just, he's just such a great male energy. And he's really, even with it, like he's a therapist, so he has that side of like, you know, very empathetic and all these things, really skilled when it comes to communication. And he's just a really safe place for me to have. I have really strong reactions to conflict. Like I go out the window so fast at dissociation and fight and flight and all the fun things. And it's taken us this long to like get to a really good place within when we have conflict, to really slow down and let my body be kind of our barometer of how far we can go with conflict. And when we actually slow down to that level, then we can move forward. We had such a butting of heads with him being a fast processor, and I'm just like, not even, he's like, "Oh, we had a great talk." And I'm like, I don't remember it like at all because I was so nervous system capacity gone. So, yeah.
So, talking about nervous system, I wanted to dive a little deeper into it, to somatics and nervous system. What are some subtle signs that someone is disconnected from their body and having some kind of a nervous system? You could talk about your own or any.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it is, I'm running a really loud story in my head and I can't hear the other person anymore. Whether that's